In most cases, you only have a certain component or a certain part of your UX design case study, and the problem is that you don't really know how to link all these different sections up together and present them in a visually appealing way. And that's where this video comes in. In this video, I'm going to show you guys the different components that make up a UI UX design case study, how to identify the parts that you have, and how to present it in a nice and visually appealing way. And in order to achieve this, I'm going to be using this particular case study that you see right here. This case study has the different sections of a UI UX design case study. I'm going to show you guys how I've been able to come up with all these different sections and how we've been able to achieve this really nice design for our case study. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a stunning case study. Now, this video is supposed to help you get your first case study out there. But if you already have your first case study, this video is going to help you improve on how to quickly get your case study out there. As designers, I know we have the tendency to overthink what we are putting on our case study, which in turn makes it very difficult for us to publish our case study because we are waiting for that perfect moment where all the components or all the required parts of a UI design case study comes together. And sometimes this is not the case. As a UI UX designer, the least thing you should be able to do is properly present your work in an aesthetically pleasing way. I'm going to be using this particular case study that you see right here. This case study has the different sections of a UI UX design case study. I'm going to show you guys how I've been able to come up with all these different sections and how we've been able to achieve this really nice design for our case study. Now, before we go into this video, please, I would like you to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I post my next video. So to get started, there are two things I want you to keep in mind about creating your case study. The first thing is the story, and the second is the presentation. For the story is all about the problem itself that you solved for and the solution that you're currently solving or that you've solved. And the story is basically the main context. It is where you say exactly what you do. Now, the story or the problem you solved don't have to be the most complex in the world. It could be a simple to-do app. But if you get your presentation right, you'll be able to visually present that simple to-do app in a way that is easy to understand and easy to read. And that's the whole purpose of this video. While you're working towards creating that amazing case study, we all know that gaining visibility for our work is just as important as creating it. A well-structured case study is key to showcasing your skill, but what's the point of creating this if no one can actually see it? We put in so much effort in crafting beautiful work, but getting it in front of the right audience is an entirely different challenge. And that's why I want to talk about today's sponsor, Semrush. Semrush is the ultimate tool for keyword research, competitor analysis, and ranking higher on search engines. Whether you're a freelancer, an agency, or you're running your own product, Semrush gives you real-time data to optimize your website and get more eyes on your work. I remember launching my first website. It looked amazing, but I was barely getting any traffic. I relied on free keyword research tool, but they were super limited. Then I tried Semrush Keyword Magic tool, and suddenly I had access to thousands of keywords, search volume data, and even competitors' insights. I was able to identify exactly which keyword to target and how to structure my content. So if you're running a blog or you're creating content like me, Semrush Topic Research tool can help you discover trending topic, headlines, and even questions that people are asking so that you can create content that actually ranks well. So if you want to get your business seen by a lot of people, stop guessing and start optimizing. Whether you're just starting or already growing your online presence, Semrush can save you time by helping you get real results. So if you're looking to get your website or your content seen by thousands and millions of people, you should try Semrush free for 14 days using the link in my description, which is trysemrush.com/thefemijohn, showing right now on your screen. So for your story, there are a few things you need to know. The first is that you need to leverage on AI to be able to create a professional and concise story that is easy to read. Now, for this particular UX design case study that we have here, we're going to be leveraging on AI to give us all the context, right? So as you can see here, I have put in the prompt in ChatGTP to be able to give us all the different sections. But the major challenge with this is that it is important for you to have the different aspects or the different sections of your UX design case study so that you can feed that information to AI and it can help you flesh out the entire story in a neat and organized way. And in order to do that, you need to have a visual and holistic view of the different components that make up a UI UX design case study. And here is what an example looks like. So when we are talking about a UI UX design case study, these are the different sections or components that could possibly exist in a UI UX design case study. Now, it could be less or more, but this is typically what is expected in your project. Now, having seen all of this, what you want to do is to look at your own project and look at your own app or product that you've built or you've designed, and then look at this and say, okay, what part of this component do I have, or what part of this component are my strengths? And for the ones I don't have, how fast can I get them? Now, in respect to this project that we are working on for today's sample, it is obvious we do have the introduction. Now, you need to note that some parts of this are actually required. Things like the introduction is required. The problem statement, of course, you need to have a particular problem you're designing for, because we know that design is just a way to solve a particular problem, right? That can help the user solve a particular problem. So you have to have your design, which is quite important and required. Now, for research, this is where a lot of people get it wrong. It is not compulsory you have a research. If you do have a research, the strength of your research can even impact your case study positively and give you a higher chance. But it is not compulsory you have a research for all projects. Now, when you're working on a team, sometimes the research phase is done by a different person, or if you're working with a client, sometimes you're not given the leverage to go to make fully fledged research. So that part might be missing, and that is absolutely fine. Now you can see we've started uncovering some parts that we have. For the project we're working on, there is no research, so I'm going to just uncheck this. For the user personas, we do have some user personas, so I'm going to check this. While it is not absolutely required to have a user persona in your case study, it's also very important, because what a user persona does is that it lets the person reading your case study understand that you have a visual representation of the target audience you're working for or you're designing for. Now, if I check a UI UX design case study, I want to exactly know who is this app targeted towards. Now, you can present this in a text and say, okay, the primary users are these that have these particular attributes that are in this category. But if you have a user persona, that can simplify things for you, and the reader can easily understand who the app is for. So we are going to have that. You can check that if you have it. If you don't have it, you can quickly generate it. It's one of those things that usually don't take time, and it is very straightforward to generate. For user journeys and experience, you don't need that. For the information architecture, it is not absolutely required, while it is a really good to have. For the UI design and prototyping, of course, this is the entire premise of most design, especially in terms of UI design. So yes, you want to have the UI design and prototyping. If not, I don't know what the case study is really about, except if it's a fully researched case study. So we do have this, so I'm going to check this. For the usability testing, also it's not really or absolutely required. Now your case study might feel incomplete, or it might feel like you don't really know how to test your designs. And that is a really big red flag when recruiters are recruiting for designers. So you want to try as much as possible to have some form of usability testing on your app. And again, for this case study that we are using for this sample, there is no usability test, so it's going to be absent, and that's fine. So we have this, and then the next thing we have here is, I think, the results. So we have the results, and that's pretty much it. So let's say this is you, you've identified that these are the sections you have on your project that you can use to create a case study around. How do I now start creating this case study? And that is where the presentation comes in. But before the presentation, remember I mentioned you need to take all of these sections that you have, you need to write it out and flesh it out yourself, then go to ChatGTP and put in the sections and tell the AI to create or organize this particular case study for you in a presentable manner. So it's going to help you create a professional, clean, and easy to read text for your case study, because a lot of us lack the ability to really put towards what we did or how we did it. Now, once you have this long list of text, as you can see, this is an example here. Once you have this long list of information about your case study based on the different sections that you've selected here and you've imputed into the AI, the next thing we want to look at is the presentation. Now, this is very, very important. Sometimes, a lot of times actually, it's not really about the complexity of the work you do, but how you explain or present the work you do. Now, how do we start presenting our project? Now, the first and most obvious thing to do is to get really good mock-ups of your project. And now we are going to go to the Figma file of our case study. And as you can see here, we are going to go to the Figma file of the actual project. So you can see here that we have some pages of this particular app design, and yours should look something similar to this or more complex than this, or simpler than this, it's fine. What you want to do is to highlight key features or key pages that are really important to the app and that was mentioned in the text that you generated from AI. So for instance, if you have like key features of your app is real-time notification, you want to make sure you try to get like a mock-up of the real-time notification screen so that you can be able to visually support the text. Now that's what you want to do. So as you can see here, based on the images I have, the first one here is like a featured image. You want to have the image of maybe the home page or the home screen or something that shows the major page in the app. And then I also have some images to represent a user persona. Of course, this is going to be like an assets section. Now for the wireframes, I also have like some wireframes that I just create here. You can represent your wireframe any way you like, be it a grid format or a list format, or it could be a single featured page like this or image, or it could be a single image like this. It's still fine. Then you want to have those feature screens that I talked about, and you want to have them in these mockups. Now, I've created a full video of the different ways to generate really amazing mockups, and you should check that video. I'm going to put the link to the description somewhere here, so you need to click that video to see the different ways you can create mockups, even right here in Figma. Now, once you've created the mockup for some of the key screens or some of the key features, you want to also have the mockup in some realistic views. So some real life photo or mockups, you also want to have samples of that. As you can see here, we have something like this as an example. Now, you want to also have some clips of the mockup of the application. This is not actually necessary, but you want to have this. So these are just images I generated based on the section that we have, which are this section that we generated from ChatGPT, and the features and the main screens that we have. So these are where you want to focus on creating mockups. Now, once you have those mockups, the next thing you want to do, or the next very important thing you want to do, is to identify or understand where do you want to place your case study. Now, there are different platforms that can help you put your case study up, like Behance, like Dribble. If you have a personal website, you can put your case study on a personal website. You can also design it on Figma and then export it as PDF. That also works. So first, you want to have a visual understanding of where exactly do I want my case study to go to. Now, once you have this, you now want to think about the layout. Now, just like the ideation process of any other web design activity, you might want to have your layout structured. And to do that, you might get some mood board of some case studies so that you can see how to lay out your website or your case study. Now, For this video, we are going to be using a very simple layout format. As you can see here, this is just a sample header from a portfolio updates I'm working on. So I have a simple top navigation bar here, then the title of the case study, a little description. We have this featured image, then little summary, then we have an introduction, and then you can see that it's basically just text and image laid out in a single column. Now you can use two columns, you can use different layout patterns, but to keep things really simple for people who are not really experienced or who don't have a lot of time to create complex layouts, this is a really good format that you can work with. So it's just your text and your image. Now, that's it for layout. But as you can see, the layout is not the only thing that is making this particular design look decent. We can see that there is a very good use of typography and white space. Now you want to make sure you have your spacing properly defined. The spacing between the different sections should be different between spaces between items, and you want to be really logical with the spaces allocated in your design since you're using a really simple design. Now, aside from your white space, you can see that the typography also plays a key factor. So you want to really put your typography into consideration and pick the right font and the right scale and proportion of your typography. Now, those are the things to take note of. Now, putting all of these things into consideration, let's go through all the different sections of this UX design case study. So to help you understand and follow through with the different sections of this case study, let's say, for instance, you've been able to generate all your text from AI, and then you've been able to also generate your mockup from the project that you're working with. Now, for the introduction section, next to your title and your overview, the next thing you want to have is like a featured image. This can give the reader some kind of idea of the entire solution right before they even start to read. Now, from your featured image, there is a high chance that the recruiter or whoever is reading might want to continue or will be less interested on the project based on the design. And that could impact your case study negatively or positively, but it's really important you do that so that whoever is reading don't go ahead and start looking for what the actual final design look like, because it's really important to see it from the beginning. Next to this, you want to then go directly into your problem. Looking at what we discussed using this, you can see you want to go directly into the problem statement and explain the problem. Now, this is where you talk about the challenge. And once you do that, probably the next thing to do will be to go into the user personas. As you can see, I'm using the structure that I said is available for this project. You go down into the user personas and you basically show some representation of the personas of the solution that you solved. This helps whoever is reading this also have a visual understanding of the target audience. So next to the challenge, you want to also talk about the solution straight up, right? You want to say, okay, this is the problem. Now, this is what I'm going to do about the problem. You want to go straight into the solution. Here you can see there's some featured highlights. So as you can notice so far, you can see that there are some icons spread across the screen. This is to help the user really understand what they are reading quickly. Before you even read this, you can see the icon and understand that it's an in-app chat feature. So you can see that this really helps or guide the user rather than having just plain text. And also the same thing with the user personas, having some kind of emotional interpretation so that the reader can really understand what the problem is. So you want to really pay attention to your visuals and how they help or assist the reader. Now, next to the solution, we want to go to the flows. You want to show what the flow of the application is, how the user can get from point A to point B. And that's really important because you can see here, we also talked about the user flow. I think the user flow is here in the user journey map. So I'm going to check this, even though we don't have all of the items in here. Now, next to your user flow, of course, you can now talk about the ideation process and show some wireframes or the early ideations of your application. Now, next to your wireframes, you now want to talk about the test, but you can see here there is no test. So I just put this little banner here to show you guys where your test could be. Now you can have your usability testing right after your wireframe and also right after the final prototype, which is usually called the post-launch research. But before you actually do the handoff to the developers, you can also have like a usability test and also include that. But there are no tests and there are no research for this project, and that's fine. Later, when we've been able to create probably a post-launch test, you can come back and include it in your case study. Now, once you scroll, you are going to see that all that's left is like the concluding part of the case study, where you can show some mock-ups of the case study. You can display the impact of the case study. That's when the project was deployed live. And then you can show some download or App Store or Play Store metrics to support your claim on the impact of what you just did. And this is everything you need to know, and this is all the different components of a UI UX design case study. I hope this is really helpful, and I hope you can take this information, apply it to your own case study, and start generating your case study and publishing it as fast and as quick as possible. Thank you so much, guys, for watching till the end of this video, and I'm going to see you guys in my next video. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, as I'm going to be posting more amazing videos like this. Bye for now, and I'm going to see you in my next video.